So, hello and welcome to the Adobe stage at Photokina 2016. This is our last session for today, our meet and greet session, and actually this is our last session for the show, for the week. My name is Idan Elkenbaum from the Adobe Stock content team, and with me on the Adobe sofa we have Lasse Behnke, top contributor to Adobe Stock, Photoshop artist, retoucher, instructor as well.
Yes.
And Robert Kneschke, top seller on Adobe Stock, top contributor, stock author as well. You've written many books about stock photography, too, which we actually have here as well. And we will raffle those after our talk.
Yeah.
We actually have a question for the audience here. And Robert, you said that if someone could guess how many images. Yeah?
Don't tell it, otherwise it would just...
Okay. Yeah, so we will wait with that for later. Yeah. And as well, we have some really nice Adobe Stock t-shirts to give away to our audience here. So this talk, this meet and greet with our top stock contributor is to give our audience here and the audience that is watching us from home a deeper look, more insight on what it means to be a top stock contributor. So, Lasse, maybe we will start with you and maybe give us an introduction on how did you get into the stock photography business?
Yes, of course. Is my microphone on? Yes. Okay. Yeah, that was in 2009 when I was working at an advertising agency. I was in my training as a media designer. And part of my job was to search for images for client projects. And yeah, that's how I discovered the stock platforms. And one day I just decided to try it myself. And yeah, it worked out great. And yeah, and 2 years later, in 2011, I was able to go full-time with stock photography. And yeah, since then I sell photos for a living. And yeah.
And now stock photography, stock compositing, this is your livelihood.
Yes.
This is what you're doing full time.
Yeah, I've specialized in compositing just because I have much fun to work with Photoshop.
Okay. And Robert, what about you? I know that you have an interesting story, how you started, your background. Maybe you can share it with us.
I always took a lot of pictures. I started when I was a child, and when I was 15, I bought my first SLR camera, a Canon, and it was quite costly back then because you had to develop all the films, and that was quite an expense for a hobby.
Yeah.
And I thought I have to refinance this somehow, and started selling prints and passepartouts on a Berlin art market. Which was okay, but it was not as flexible as I wished for, and I had to pay the booth in advance, and I didn't know how the weather will gonna be. So I looked in the internet how to sell images online, found some stock agencies, and then later I found the micro-stock agencies like Fotolia or now Adobe Stock, and started selling there and never stopped.
Never stopped. And you're already 9 years in the stock business, as we call it. Okay. And how do you see, from your perspective, the change from when you started to now?
I mean, back then it was easier because there was not so much supply. So you could shoot simple people isolated on a white background and it would sell really well. Right now, this is kind of covered. I mean, with Adobe Stock having 61 million plus images. So you need to be more creative, you have to research more, you have to find some topics that are not as well covered already. So it's a bit more competitive.
And regarding the quality of the imagery?
Of course, the quality grew higher as the cameras got better and better.
Yeah.
So I couldn't shoot with the camera I started, which had like 8 megapixel.
Yeah, okay, interesting. So maybe, Lasse, we start with you, and you can, because your style is really unique, and you're working with a lot of photographic material that most of it you produce. And I know that you also ask your family, for example, when they go on on trips, to travel, to capture some images for you.
Exactly.
So maybe you can, and we're seeing your portfolio now on Adobe Stock. Maybe you can pick an image from the portfolio and kind of let us know how do you start to work on it, how do you come up with the idea, and how do you make the final composite.
Okay, let me check. So maybe this image.
This one, okay.
I work a lot of my models are friends or relatives or people I know more or less. So this guy, for example, is the brother of my girlfriend, and at that time he had a very nice long beard, and so we decided to make a mountaineer shooting, and the images. I think the background with the mountains. I think I made the photo on a skiing holiday, and the sky is certainly photographed from my flat, from my balcony, and the guy is photographed in my studio in front of a gray background, and I always try to set up the flashes to match the background light. What else can I say?
I mean, that's amazing that you can create something like that from just, I wouldn't say random, but images that are just lying around, and you have this idea and you just pull everything together.
Yeah.
And regarding the whole portfolio that we're looking at right now, how do you think, how do you prepare, let me ask it in another way. How do you do your research into what to produce? So there are the market needs that you are probably well familiar with.
Yeah.
How do you plan for that? Are you following trends? Are you following the media, social media?
Yeah, when you don't know what to shoot, or when I don't know what to shoot, I always try to analyze the bestsellers to get new ideas. I try, what are the image trends at the moment. Also I follow a lot of artists on several platforms like Facebook and Instagram. So there I get a lot of inspiration, and that's how I got my ideas.
Okay. Yeah. And Robert, regarding your shootings that usually are, you're using a lot of models in your work. So for preparing for that shooting day, how do you usually do it?
I started with not as many models as I work with now, but I figured it's something to set you apart from the beginners because it's much easier to work with one or two models. So here, especially in the fitness center, I asked the owner of the fitness center what target audience she covers, and she said, well, it's mainly females between 40 and 60 years, and I was a bit surprised because I thought, well, fitness, that's always the young, sporty boys and girls in their 20s, but she said, no, that's a different kind of fitness center, and so I thought, okay, let other people shoot this kind of style. I focus on the seniors in this shooting, so I booked a lot of seniors. Some I knew, and the person in front, for example, was quite interesting. I just asked in a cafe. She was sitting next to us, and I asked, hey, you look good for your age, or
just a random
general.
person.
Yeah, random person. And
okay.
said, hey, you look good. Would you like to model for me? And at first she was a bit skeptic, but after she said she checked my website and everything, she saw it's okay, and I'm glad that she accepted because she looks really great in these images. And one person in the background, I knew her and I was working with her, and she said, hey, if you need more senior models, I just ask my husband and he will come as well. And so the group started getting bigger and bigger, and until I had.
So that's a great tip, I think, for our newcomers into stock. Don't be afraid to reach out to people, ask them if they want to be in your shootings.
For beginners, I always would advise to first ask your friends, do some self-portraits as well, and then when you have something to show, you can ask strangers, because otherwise they wouldn't be, hey, I don't see what you do. Why should I trust you? You need them to trust you, and one good thing to trust them is that they trust you is showing them good images so they know what they can expect.
Yeah. And during that shooting day, how do you prepare beforehand regarding what to shoot? Do you have a shooting plan, storyboard? Do you have a makeup artist, an assistant on site? Do you share that storyboard with the crew?
Yes, I do a lot of preparation. I always use a mood board and a shooting list. A mood board is kind of a visual collection of my bestsellers, my best-selling images for similar themes, cutouts from magazines, research, what other photographers have done. And so I can check when I have 20, 30 images on one page in small images. I can check how the light was set, what kind of models were used, what props are helpful, what mood is seen in the images. And based on that, I do the actual shooting list where we write down some ideas we have, some stuff we want to achieve, some concepts we want to cover. And we sort this list by location, by model, by props, so we can work from the beginning to the top, from the top to the end, without having to rearrange the light or without having the models to change too often, because all that would take too much time. So we make sure it's all in order in advance.
And that saves a lot of time on the shooting day.
Yes, definitely.
So a lot of preparation before will make sure that you get the most out of it.
And for example, on the shooting list, on the bottom line, there's one list especially for the assistant. I always try to work with an assistant, especially when you have a lot of people. You don't want, hey, wait a second, I will go catch something. So I can have the models there and somebody helps me bring in some stuff we need. There's on the bottom of the shooting list a section only for the assistant, what her job will be, what she needs to take care of without me telling her anything. And there's a list with all the props we need to buy in advance. And there's a section only for the models where I write what clothing is suggested, how they should prepare makeup and stuff, because I usually do not do makeup because it takes a lot of time in advance, and I want to have natural looking people. And if I don't do a evening disco glamour shot, it's fine when they do it themselves. The men, sometimes my assistants put some powder on, but otherwise I try to keep it simple.
Okay. And we're talking a lot about authenticity.
Yeah.
And this is very important regarding people photography. So maybe you can tell us, how do you choose the right model for the right projects? And sometimes with big shots, when you have 5, 6, 7 models, how do you create that special mix, that special interaction between the different models?
When I choose the models, of course, I try to make sure that I have a good mix based on gender, age, ethnicity, and so on. But I also try to have at least one person on set that knows what we are doing. For example, here on this image, on this one, the person on the left is actually really the fitness trainer in this fitness center. And even for every fitness shooting I do, I always book one of the trainers. Or when I go to the dentist, I always book one of the dental assistants to help me during the set, because they always will know. I mean, of course, the fitness center, the fitness guy can give direction to the models. Now we all do this exercise. Hey, you in the back, please fix your position, or you please do that. Or the dental assistant can tell the other models how to hold the tools correctly, so it will look real in the image, because otherwise the buyer would feel, oh, there's something wrong, they don't know what to do.
And a classic example that we give for that authenticity is that we got many images of beauticians, so a beauty salon, but the person who is dyeing the hair doesn't wear gloves. And this is kind of it's hurting the authenticity, and that little detail might make or break the image.
Yeah, but sometimes, I mean, when I ask, for example, at the dentist office, I ask, hey, what are you wearing usually? And she said, oh, my boss doesn't care, we just wear shirts. I said, okay, but the cliche is that you have white polo shirts, so please, everybody bring a white polo shirt, because it does not hurt, and the reality might look different, but we try to be a bit over stylistic or more simplified, more
general,
cliche a bit, yeah.
Okay. So Lasse, you're doing a lot of self-portraits.
Yes.
So you're using yourself
Yes.
as a model.
Yes.
And I think this is a great way to kind of go into stock. You know,
Saving money for more
Yes.
expensive.
you know, if you're having, you don't know how to, reach out to people at the beginning. Maybe you're shy, or you don't know how to get those models. Yeah, so self-portraits are great for that, and they sell really well.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to get a model. Just use yourself. And sometimes I sit at home and I have an idea, and then I think, oh, I need a model, and then okay, just take myself. And yeah, for me the nerdy topics work quite fine. So I think I couldn't play the business guy. So for me it's the nerd, which.
Okay. So this is great, because when you're using models, you kind of put in them let's say maybe stereotypes, or you kind of give them a typecast.
Yeah.
So you kind of identified for yourself, like where would you work.
Yeah, the nerdy topics, like me as a nerd, that sells pretty good for me.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Another advantage is when you use yourself for stock images, you show other potential models that you're not afraid of the kind of work you're offering.
Yes, I think there's a topic for everyone, so you will fit into something. So
yeah. And how do you usually do these images? Do you use a cable release, remote, timer?
Sometimes my girlfriend takes the pictures, or I use a remote control. Yeah.
Okay. So fairly easy.
Yes.
Your studio, basically.
Yes, it's in front of my gray background, and then I'll put the things around it with Photoshop. So, for example, the helmet is built in Cinema 4D, so this is 3D.
Okay.
And I just put it together with Photoshop.
Okay. So both of you have big portfolios on Adobe Stock. You sold many images, many licenses used. And I would like to ask you, when you walk around the city, when you open a magazine, looking at the television, sometimes you see your work there. How do you feel about that? How do you feel that your work is being shown basically all over the world with different cultures and used for different projects?
Okay. Well, I saw my work today back there in the booth. They had one of the framing companies. They sell canvas and stuff like that. And they used one of my images to portray a family, for a family portrait on the wall. And it makes me happy to see. And it kind of makes me feel at home wherever I go, because no matter where I go, one day I went last year to the Adobe Max, and I went to the Frankfurt airport, and there was this one model, Lisa, huge in her Oktoberfest dirndl advertising. I'm not sure what the advertising was for, but it was, oh, I know her, it made me feel good. And when I just browsed through magazines and I recognized, and even if I recognize his pictures or from friends who do stock as well, it makes me feel, oh, I know these guys. It's kind of a feeling at home.
Kind of cool. It's great. Yeah. And for you, Lasse, how was your experience with that?
Yeah, actually, I found a flyer on the fair as well with, I think, 5 or 6 of my pictures. That was great. It's always a very great feeling to see yourself or to see your picture somewhere. And as I have a great community on Facebook, they recognize my pictures and they send it to me. That's just great for me, because I get to see a lot of my pictures in the reality, and that's just great.
Every time they find that somebody has been using your images, they would post something on Facebook, like a picture of the flyer.
Yeah, they sent me a mail, or they make photos with their smartphones and just send it to me. That's very happy with that, and yeah,
that's
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
And it's a different kind of gratification than having a photo in an online forum and everybody writes, "Oh, it's a great picture."
Yeah.
When you see these images in use, you know somebody paid actual money for it, so you know they are willing to pay money, and this is kind of a different gratification.
Yeah. And Lasse, I know that you showed earlier today one image from your portfolio that was used in many cases.
Yes.
So, and this is kind of to go more into the versatility of the images.
Yeah.
That one image could be used in many projects.
Yeah.
So maybe you can tell us a bit more about this image. I don't think that we have it here, but it was a portrait of a man with a close-up on his eye.
It
But
was a girl, actually.
Oh, you were referring to the girl. Okay, so maybe...
no problem. Yeah, maybe I think it should be on the first side if you sort it by relevance, but yeah, it was a picture with of an eye of a girl. There it is.
Oh, it's a girl. Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, with Photoshop I created some effects and laid some effects over the picture, some laser effects, some pixel effects, and I thought the background just looked a bit like a server room. And yeah, this image was used by medical sites on the web, and as well as yeah, technical sites like enterprises which are related to scanning and artificial intelligence, and yeah, it was used quite often. I think I sold this image like 180 times over Adobe Stock, and this is not an old image, so I have a very big target group for this image.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why it works quite good, I think.
And this is a great example to kind of the balance between very specific and a bit more general in a way, because what we like to do in Stock is to give the buyer the opportunity or the chance to use the image for whichever project he would like to use it.
Yeah.
And Robert, I know that you might have some examples regarding that with the farmer, that you've seen it used for many different companies and for many...
Yeah, I mean, the farm image, that was just a guy in a farm suit standing in front of a field with his arms crossed, and it was used for, of course, agriculture magazines, but also for education, like what jobs you want to choose for genetic engineering, for food companies who want to sell food, and all different kinds of branches.
And maybe a little tip to our newcomers into Stock. So I went to the Adobe Stock site, opened an account. How many images should I upload to start with? And should I go back to my hard drive, sort it, see what is in there, or should I make a fresh start to produce?
Don't go through the hard drive.
No, don't go through the hard drive. Okay.
Just produce your image just for Stock, and try to make a new image, a stock image.
The reason is, I mean, it's of course very convenient. People hear of Stock, they think, oh, I have a lot of old images I could use and start to sell. They go through the hard drive, but the problem is there are certain Stock rules that mostly do not apply to these old images, because they were shot with a different purpose, like for remembering a nice time or just to make them look good. But Stock has a different kind of purpose. So sometimes it works, sometimes they fit, but a lot of times they just don't. So it's kind of a waste of time uploading and keywording, then uploading all these images, and then just to find out it's not the right type of image. So it's much more, and it's better for learning just to go out and spend this time shooting new images with a clear concept in mind, and they
thinking Stock, thinking what the client wants, and focusing on that.
You just have to develop a sense for your Stock image and what is a sellable image, and when you develop this sense, then you can go back to your hard drive and check again, and maybe you find something.
Maybe you will find something there.
Yeah.
So Robert, you mentioned keywording. which is very important for stock
Very,
images.
very,
It's one of the main components, let's say, of a stock image. So I would like to show you the new contributor portal on Adobe Stock and the great automatic keywording tool that is there. But maybe before that, you can give us 1 or 2 tips for keywording.
Keywording, basically it's not hard. You just, first you describe what you see on the image, like the objects, the scene where it was taken, if it's visible, and then you go to concepts, what can be achieved with the image. Is there an overlaying theme like success or fun or bravery or curiosity or something like that, and find images going from there to describe the mood.
So from the representative to the conceptual.
Exactly.
Yes.
Lasse, how
Nothing to add.
How do you do it?
Yeah, I do it the same way. Perfectly explained from Robert. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would like to show you the new contributor site on Adobe Stock and the new keywording tool. So these are all images from my latest vacation. So I've been to New York, and you can see that here the tool offered 5 keywords. So we are requiring 5 keywords for every image that is being uploaded. So it is possible to offer more. 5 is the minimum, 50 is the maximum. But just from this, let's take this image, for example. So pizza, food, cheese, pie, and quiche. So maybe quiche is not the best choice for this one, but the algorithm recognizes that it's a pizza, it's a food, there's cheese on it, hopefully, and pizza pie.
Yeah, and it's not in alphabetical order, it's sorted by relevancy.
Exactly, which is very important. Another example that I really liked is this image here. An image of Manhattan from Brooklyn, and the algorithm offered bridge, water, river, city, and it recognized it. That it's New York.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy that it recognizes New York.
Yeah, no location in the camera, no metadata, nothing, and it recognized that it's
maybe the system already has been there.
So how do you think that this tool, this keywording tool, would affect the workflow of newcomers into stock?
For newcomers, I think it's helpful because they can learn what stock agencies expect from them. I mean, with the pizza image, the order pizza, food, cheese, that's exactly the 3 words I would have chosen, exact same order. So newcomers who are not sure, they probably maybe would start with plate or lunch or whatever. They get to know what stock agencies think work best, and they can build up on that. Add some more, and they're done.
Learn the order of relevance and how the algorithm is working and what we are looking for regarding the
exactly.
keywords. Yeah. Okay, that's great. So we're almost out of time. So I would like to thank you, first of all, Lasse Behnke, Robert Kneschke, and we're gonna do can we say the question now regarding the books?
Yeah.
So yeah, please, Robert.
Yeah, whoever is closest to guessing how many images I have in the portfolio gets 1 book, and we'll think about the second one.